And we're back. I'm Jack, your British guy, and we got the strange deaths of the 9 hikers of Dyatlov Pass. I don't know. I'm enjoying kind of seeing these history, mystery kind of type of videos there. I don't specifically know if this one's American. That doesn't sound American. But wait, we can branch out. Like I said, I don't know anything about this. Let's go.
And that's Brent. Let's do this. This week on BuzzFeed Unsolved, we're covering Dyatlov Pass. It's probably one of the weirdest cases out there.
He says that every time.
Even your precious science won't save you today.
Okay.
So, on the evening of February 2nd, 1959,
It's not, it's in Russia,
a group
okay.
of 9 skiers led by Igor Dyatlov died near their
I guess it doesn't
campsite
have to
next
be always
Lakotin
American, does it?
Mountain in Russia. The horrific state of the campsite was discovered on February 26 by a rescue team. 2 of the 9 bodies were found by the tree line about a mile away from camp. And despite temperatures dropping to negative 30 degrees Celsius, the 2 bodies were curiously wearing nothing but underwear.
Where were their clothes?
Oh, you'll find out.
Okay.
Right.
Another 3 bodies were found between the camp and the trees. One of them had a fractured skull. However, doctors at the time determined that the cause of death for all 5 was hypothermia. Strangely,
For sure, if
the
you're naked
remaining
in the
4
snow.
bodies of the 9 original were not found until 2 months later. Of these 4, 1 had a fractured skull, 1 had crushed ribs, and 1 woman had crushed ribs and a missing tongue.
Whoa.
Oddly,
I was about to say bear attack, but 9 of them and a missing tongue. I don't know.
these 4 bodies that were found later were wearing the clothes of the previous bodies that were found 2 months earlier. Even more bizarrely, when these clothes were tested, they were found to be radioactive.
Interesting.
In fact, there were reportedly traces of radiation all around the campsite.
Number 1, what kind of radiation? Alpha, beta, gamma?
Does it matter? It's radiation.
Well, lots of things have radiation.
This
That
is weird.
word in itself is not necessarily as scary as one might think.
The radiation becomes even more puzzling when combined with the fact that there was no outward trauma to the bodies. The injuries found in the bodies were caused by a force determined to be too strong for a human to cause. The
Okay, so
creepiest
they didn't
detail,
fight amongst
however,
themselves.
is that there was no evidence of an outsider entering the tent. The tent was ripped from the inside.
How do you look at a tent and know, this is ripped?
Could radiation
How do
cause
you
like
determine any of these things
insanity?
they determined?
I'm just wondering if you know. If you don't know.
It's the
okay,
missing
cool.
tongue that's throwing me
There are
there.
facts unknown, but that's what the detective said.
Anyways, let's get to the theories now. One theory is that there was an avalanche that buried the tent. That would explain the tent being cut from the inside, and would also
Yeah.
explain the
Crush.
deaths by hypothermia.
And
That
crushed
doesn't explain the
ribs.
clothes, though.
Actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. There's an effect called paradoxical undressing, where disoriented hyperthermia victims remove their clothes because their bodies feel like they're burning. This would explain the nearly naked
Wow.
bodies, but this theory has no answer for the radioactivity, nor does it have an answer for the missing tongue. So that theory to me,
I'd say it does. Radioactivity, they could have been testing, if there was an avalanche on a mountain, they could have been testing shit near the top of the mountain, missing tongue, bit their tongue.
is done.
Yeah.
How? How is avalanche out?
How does an avalanche cause radioactive forces, and how
What?
does an avalanche rip someone's tongue out?
You didn't say her tongue was completely gone. You said her tongue was cut off.
It says missing tongue.
There's some translation.
Dunno,
things going on here from
I
Russian to
think,
English. I'm just saying.
Another theory is that a Soviet test missile caused the deaths. A doctor on the autopsy team said an explosion could have caused some of the injuries that were bizarre. However, no evidence of an explosion was found, and no records of a missile launch were located. Something I didn't mention earlier was
Which they
that the
wouldn't.
expedition originally had 10 skiers, but one of them left early due to an illness, a man named Yuri Yudin, making him the lone survivor of the trip.
Yuri came back and
I
killed
bring
them
this
all.
up because
Solid.
Yudin helped identify items found at the site, but there were some items that he couldn't identify, one of which was a cloth that he claimed looked to be of military origin, as well as skis and glasses, leading him to believe that perhaps the military found the bodies of his friends before the rescuers did, maybe trying to cover something up.
We don't know if like the person asking the question was leading him in any way to be like, does this cloth remind you of military cloth? Like, you know, it does actually.
Like
So-
making a murderer.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
exactly.
Also, there was no evidence of a fucking explosion near there. That's kind of hard to cover up.
Well,
Yeah, you wouldn't. I
not
don't.
if a missile
Well,
hit the top of. You ever see Mulan when she does the thing?
Okay,
and
right now
starts
you
the
are
avalanche?
citing a animated feature film by
if
Disney.
it was
On to the
snowing,
next
could have
one.
filled in.
This next theory, even I will admit, is completely bananas. Some suspect that the group was actually attacked by a Yeti.
All right, next.
This theory even commanded 2 hours of a Discovery Channel special called Russian Yeti, The Killer Lives, in 2014. However,
Lovely.
there was no evidence of a Yeti, and furthermore, I can't imagine a Yeti taking the time to cover its tracks.
Either way, everyone knows that the Yeti is a peaceful creature.
Not according to Russian Yeti, the killer lives. This brings us to our final and most popular theory. And I imagine you saw this one coming.
I could believe there's a Bigfoot Yeti thing out there.
Hear me out here.
Maybe
There's
like
actually
Serbia.
a lot of reasons why this makes sense. There are supposedly
Siberia,
reports of
sorry.
bright flying spheres in the area in February and March of that year. Here's a quote from lead investigator Lev Ivanov. Quote, I suspected at the time and am almost sure now that these bright flying spheres had a direct connection to the group's death.
Lovely.
End quote. Even more peculiar, Ivanov was also ordered by Soviet officials to close the case. Aliens would also perhaps explain the radioactivity found at the site, and would also explain the inhuman trauma caused to
I'm
the
going with
bodies.
Avalanche.
And as far as no evidence being found of an outsider from the tent, I think it's safe to assume that if they're out there, aliens have gotten pretty good at covering their tracks.
I don't buy it. Bright flying spheres, missiles.
No!
You're going aliens
Hey,
over
true,
a
true.
possible missile.
True.
I think they're both equally plausible. Maybe that's why they ripped the tent open from the inside. Maybe they saw something they didn't want to see and they got so scared that they were trying to retreat and they were like, fuck zippers.
No.
Yes.
How?
Because there's no evidence of a fucking missile blast.
There's no evidence of a fucking alien ship landing on a mountain.
That's because we wouldn't know what evidence of that looks like. And if there was... What are you talking about? No, fuck you. Regardless, in the end, authorities supposedly determined that the deaths were caused by a unknown compelling force.
I agree.
And consequently, the case remains unsolved.
Based off the information in front of us, I go avalanche number 1, military cover-up number 2.
But you can't say it's not aliens, is my point.
No, because it doesn't.
To me,
It doesn't
it's
say
Avalanche.
aliens. It doesn't prove aliens. You cannot connect the two other than you want to.
I think it proves a little bit, yeah, that there may be alien life out there. I think it's proof that maybe we're not alone.
No, I'm going with it was an avalanche and Russia were testing some crap on the top of the mountain. The snow's come down, crushed them. Ladies bit her tongue off, crushed them. That's how they did it. That's how it explains the radioactivity of the snow. That's what I'm going with. And then they died of hypothermia afterwards. That is what I think it is. Man, I do like doing these, you know. I do like doing these mystery ones, bits of history as well. And I think in my head, everything had to be American. But I think I'm putting myself in a corner with that. We'll still do like American food. We'll still do, you know, obviously American sports we do every single day. But and once or twice a day. But sometimes 3 times a day. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll branch out a little bit with this. So let me know what you want to see down below. And of course, way down there, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Hope you have a great day. Peace.